Welcome to Sleepless in St. Canard, where nostalgia replaces REM cycles. I'm Kitty.
And I'm Ange.
And we haven't slept
in 30 years.
This is a podcast about the 90s classic cartoon Darkwing Duck, which is about a duck who is an inspiration to heroes everywhere, recipient of the Key of the City, ticker tape parade haver, adoring fan club muse, beloved of cheerleaders everywhere. Oh no, wait, that's Giiiiiiizmoduck. Darkwing gets, I don't know, some pocket lint or something. And today, we get to talk all about that dysfunctional duo's chemistry in our episode on Tiff of the Titans.
Woo, 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 woo.
Which is our first episode with Giiiiiiizmoduck that we get to talk about on the whatever this is, the podcast.
Pastacast.
PastaCast, where we nothing but rigatoni 24/7. So it's pretty great. It's pretty good. I was very pleased with this one. I actually downloaded the Disney Plus app to my phone. Ooh. Have to remember to watch it when I would have to watch it on my computer versus on my phone wherever I am. So I had the power of Disney in my pocket. Let me tell you, it was pretty powerful. It annoys me because Disney is so sneaky that you can't take screenshots of anything, on anything. I'm like, oh, I could take a screenshot on my phone, and it just is a blank screen. Damn you. I was like, oh, these are so good. I'm pausing in such great places. I've got nothing. Not a single gizmo face.
I got some good screenshots.
Good. Please, you shared a bunch of them with me, and I will certainly share them with our listeners as well. Speaking of listeners, I would just like to, top of the episode here, discuss the results of a poll that I posted in or on our Twitter. So in our episode on Life, the Negaverse, and Everything, I posted a poll about whether Launchpad would be able to tell Darkwing from Negaduck if it was a black and white picture. And we had quite a few people respond. And we had a tie between, of course he would know who was who, and never in a million years would he know who was who. But I think the one that won is really the only true answer, which is he'd pick the one with food. So.
How many people voted?
10.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good, right? Yeah. So we all seem to agree that Launchpad would be inclined, like a puppy, torn between two owners, going, come to the one you love the most. He would go to the one that has a cheeseburger in its hand.
It would be Goslin. She'd have the cheeseburger.
It would. It most certainly would. Yeah, so we have any other business to get into, or are we just going to dive right in here?
We did get one letter. I want to say it was medium length, so I don't know if we want to save that for our next listener mail exclusive episode, or did we want to add that on? I feel like this is going to be a pretty long episode because you have a lot to say about Giiiiiiizmoduck.
Yeah, I had 4 pages of notes like 5 minutes in, so we could save that. We could save that for next time.
Okay, so we'll hold off on the mail because I feel like this episode will be 2 hours long if we do the mail. And
everybody stretch your legs, make sure you're comfortable. Put your finger on that pause button if you need to. Thank you for whoever sent that letter. I am not aware of that letter. Okay, so we will get down to business here. As stated at the end of last episode, this is Tiff of the Titans. If you're watching on Disney Plus, it is Season 1, Episode 71, with the description of Beakpuss attempts the theft of a super attack bomber.
Is it Beakpuss again? Seriously?
Yeah, well, yes, that was the episode that had Beakpuss as his name.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was the last one. Okay.
No, it was just destiny that this was the one that got picked. So we get a round 2 of Beakpuss back-to-back episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So our episode here is opening up, coming in hot with the exterior shot of...
Do I get to do a summary?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to jump ahead here.
You're so excited. You're so ready to just dive into the world of mostly Giiiiiiizmoduck. My summary is basically that I think it's interesting we did Bad Tidings last week, which was essentially Steelbeak pits two characters against each other, namely Darkwing and the person he's forced to work with, and they don't realize that Steelbeak is manipulating them in the background. And that is essentially what happens in this episode too, but Grizzly Cough is substituted for Giiiiiiizmoduck.
It really is. It's just rehashed. It's basically the same thing, only one of the players has changed.
Yeah. And we get Goslin and Launchpad, a little bit of them mixed in there.
Yes. Not just the Drake and fill in the blank show.
And also, can we talk about when I showed you the title for this in German for a moment? Because I thought that was amazing.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I think I've mentioned previously that I managed to get DVD quality of all the episodes that were not released on DVD, but for some reason they're German, like the visuals are taken obviously from a German version of it because the title of the episode is German, but the audio is English. So I guess somebody just swapped the audio out. But it's fun because it means that we get some very interesting titles. So this one was Eisenbeeb plant ein Grobsding. I'm so sorry to the people of Germany because I know I'm probably not even close. But I went through the translation because I was like, I wonder what that means. So I put it into Google Translate and it was Eisenbeeb is planning a big thing. And I was like, who's Eisenbeeb? So I typed it in, and it's Iron Bite, which is Steelbeak. So it translates over to Iron Bite is planning a big thing. It doesn't say what. He's just planning a big thing. That is the name of this episode.
I'll tell you what, it's big. It's a big one. He's planning it. Old Eisenbeeb.
All right, now let us continue.
Continuing on. So we open our episode here, I guess, in preparation of the big thing, of an exterior shot of an army base. And do you know why I know it's an army base?
Because it's deserted?
Because it has a big sign that says army base on it.
Oh, well, okay then.
It's leaving nothing to the imagination. So yeah, so we don't start in St. Canard. We are somewhere, I guess, possibly Duckburg. So at the army base, we have the Eggmen infiltrating, but they're driving around in a giant egg tank. It's a tank that's shaped like an egg, and it's just got little track wheels on the side. And I'm not gonna lie, it's adorable. It's really, really very cute. And I really feel like it's not even 30 seconds into the episode before Giiiiiiizmoduck shows up. Immediate gratification. Because he just bursts in because Eggmen are coming to do their whole big thing. And my first thought of the episode is that this is the version of the Gizmo suit where he has... All right, let's backtrack here. So in DuckTales, Giiiiiiizmoduck's arm pieces, he has an upper sleeve and then the gauntlet, and the upper sleeve is black. And that's the suit that he has through DuckTales until the episode Attack of the Metal Mites, where the Metal Mites eat his Gizmo suit. And I think that might be the last appearance of the Gizmo suit, because that's like his last episode. Presumably that there's going to be another one built, which I had always assumed was this one. But this one has white upper sleeves. And I gotta say, does not look as snappy. I don't like it as much. The black upper sleeve really classes it up a little bit. So anyway, that's my initial thought here on Darkwing Duck, Giiiiiiizmoduck.
I didn't even notice that there's a difference between the two designs, which goes to show you how observant I am. The only thing that I made as an observation is that it starts out with him hiding beneath a tarp, and he surprises the Eggman.
Oh, yes!
And I was guessing, how long was he there for? And I want to say, knowing Giiiiiizmoduck, he probably received some sketchy time frame. So he was probably under that tarp for like 3 days. And I was wondering...
Hours!
And I was wondering if the Gizmo suit has a toilet or like what he did. And
Yes, yeah, because they're coming to steal the EGRET, which is this, I guess, supposed super attack bomber. And it's in the shape of the egret, but it lifts up, and of course it's just Giiiiiizmoduck. And he announces himself in his usual sing-song, and they just lob a grenade at him. They just immediately like, well, chuck it at him. Just open fire. They throw a grenade at him and then just unload on him. Everybody's got guns.
Yes.
They just start shooting.
They're merciless.
Right out of the gate. They're like, all right, time to murder this man. And as the smoke clears, Gizmoduck's like, tennis, anyone? And he's got a tennis racket. So then it's implied that Gizmoduck just bracketed all of the bullets away. But he's got a tennis racket, a garbage can lid, and a boxing glove. He's truly a great hero, as you can see. So great that as soon as the Eggmen see that he is not killed by their hail of bullets, that they immediately retreat. They try to run out of there, but Gizmoduck chases them and grabs onto the bumper of the egg and proclaims,
"Surrender, foul fiends! You cannot escape from Gizmoduck!"
Until a cannon pops out of the back of the egg thing. And he's like, oh, I could be wrong. But he's blasted by a cannonball that is as big as he is. From a cannon that's about the nozzle of the cannon is like the size of his head. So I thought that was pretty interesting too.
He just gets beaten up. Like the whole first 4 minutes of this episode is just him in extreme pain.
The whole episode, he's just getting the snot kicked out of him. But he always bounces back. Speaking of bouncing, but he gets blasted away by this giant cannonball that could not possibly fit in that cannon and smashes through billboards, and then he lands in a minefield.
A billboard that had a human on it, might I add.
Yes, a human drinking a cola.
So upsetting.
Very upsetting. It's always very cursed when humans appear in Darkwing Duck. So he lands in a minefield, and of course the cannonball rolls onto a mine and sets it off, because of course it does. And that's how they get away, because he explodes himself. And then we get our little bit of exposition with Bulldog Army Man Jim Cummings telling Gizmoduck all about the egret, which I try to write it down because I keep writing egret like the bird. Gizmoduck says,
Egret, as in small, fat bird with a long, thin beak?
No, egret, as in experiment general retaliatory transport. The deadliest weapon our lab boys can hatch. It works on land, on the sea, or in the air.
Who doesn't?
And wouldn't that be egret? No egerts.
No,
it's like no regerts. So that's our bit of a stretch for our abbreviation of whatever that is. And he's like, oh, it works on land, on sea, or in the air. And Giz just goes, who doesn't? Which made me laugh. Yeah, so that's our bit of exposition there. They're going to apparently show it off at an air show in St. Canard. They're concerned about Darkwing. And
I was surprised that the canine, whatever, army guy actually acknowledged Darkwing.
Say, did you say St. Canard?
Yes, home of Darkwing Duck. I assume you've worked together.
Has anyone ever actually recognized him as anything in St. Canard? I think this is the first time.
Just means that Darkwing has been going to that army base and sliding pamphlets about himself under this army guy's door. Gizmoduck very curtly says,
Me? Work with that blanketed buffoon? Frankly, nobody even knows if he's a hero or a hood.
ooh. So Gizmoduck already throwing a shade on Darkwing. And then we hi-ho Gizmo away, and he reverses away. Because of course he does. It just plows down the center of a highway, sending cars screeching in every direction as he reverses towards St. Canard. And he's monologuing to himself as he does so. It's time for me, Gizmoduck, as he bounces behind a Welcome to Duckburg billboard that has a big Scrooge McDuck on it. And he comes out the other side as Fenton with a giant suitcase. He's like,
Or rather me, Fenton Crackbell, to drop in on my pal, Launchpad McQuack.
He's just going for it. I really think this is like maybe 2 minutes into the episode, or maybe a minute into the episode. It's just been rapid fire, and it doesn't slow down, and it doesn't slow down. it's a very, it's a good cutaway because he says, it's time for Frank Crackshell to drop in on my old pal, Launchpad McQuack. And it's immediate scene change to Launchpad going, did somebody call my name? And Darkwing goes, I did. Now be quiet. I thought it was really good. It was really funny. Because it's just like, he's standing in the middle of this warehouse. It's the implication is that he's just standing around, sneaking around with Launchpad, and Launchpad's like, huh, what? Somebody say my name. Shut up. Just me. That's pretty good. It's actually, this episode has, it's weird. I wouldn't say across the board it has really good animation, but there are parts of this episode that are very well animated. This part, I think, is an example of that because there's some really nice dynamic shadows on Darkwing as he's sneaking around in this little location here, trying to find out information on Fowl, and he winds up finding Steelbeak or Beakpuss or...
I thought this episode was originally a Disney Australia animated one because of the animation, and also there was a lot of points in the episode where they were on model and they looked really good. But it was actually Disney Japan, which I thought was interesting.
It is interesting. A few points in this episode, I'm like, wow, this looks really good, which not always the case in Darkwing Duck, or especially cartoons of this era.
They even gave them, at random points in time, little eye shines on their eyes. Usually they just have the black dots for eyes, but there was like a few scenes, usually when it was Fenton Crackshell on screen with Drake, they both had the little eye shines.
And there was a lot of expressiveness in the characters in this episode too, with a lot of extra movement and flourishes. Fenton was always moving, it felt like always just like looking side to side, or Darkwing had a lot of big motions. It was a good one. It was really, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the craft.
I actually recognized some of the poses in the episode, key poses of the animation from model sheets. There was one in particular where, do you remember we were discussing the Fearsome Five model sheet, and they circled Drake Mallard, and they were like, this is what Negaduck looks like, but in costume. That exact pose was used in this episode.
I did not pick up on that. It does not surprise me. They did their homework, these animators.
Yeah, they definitely studied the model sheets, and I don't know. I like it. I like it when the episodes are really on model, because when you pause it, those really make for good screenshots.
And I didn't notice any coloration errors or anything like that, which not typically the case either.
Yeah, good job, Disney Japan. Good job.
You did it, guys. You did it 30 years ago, but damn if you didn't do it well. So Darkwing finds Steelbeak's dry cleaning bill with his name and address on it, because of course, and so they go to the hideout. And in this episode, Steelbeak's hideout is a bowling alley. At this particular scene, he's looking a little thick. I don't know. He gets thinner later on, but he's looking a little thick here. And so Steelbeak is going over his plan, as villains are wont to do. And Darkwing is like, I'm going in. But instead of coming out of the door that he went in, he just straight up crashes through the ceiling. Just breaks through the roof. Through metal, just like, whoa. But he whistles before he shows up. So through the roof, before he smashes through it, he whistles to alert Steelbeak to his presence. Of course, is immediately trounced by Steelbeak. And then...
Was there an I Am the Terror in this one?
There is, but there isn't.
Oh, okay.
Wink, wink. We'll get there. So, but definitely not here. So Darkwing, of course, gets smashed by Steelbeak, and then Steelbeak just straight up uses an Eggman's head for a battering ram to break down an emergency exit, which probably shouldn't be locked to begin with, because it's a fire code. And then they retreat into the sewers. Okay, we are on the move.
As one does.
I mean, I guess it's a good move because Launchpad and Darkwing don't think to look there, and Steelbeak literally just hangs out down there at the end of the ladder with his goons, eavesdropping on them. Steelbeak is just like the master of sneaking, I guess.
He's very good at manipulating situations and being a puppet master in the background.
He's very good at not being detected while being right on top of people, or under them in this case. So then he hatches a plan to pit Darkwing Duck and Gizmoduck against each other, and congratulates himself with a, "Oh, am I clever?" And then we head over to the Mallard residence, where Goslin and Honker... I was wondering where this one was. I did not remember it was this episode, but they're watching Nightmare on Pelican's Island, which is a slasher version of Pelican's Island. It starts with "No, put down that machete." There's just a lot of screaming.
There are chopping noises of a machete going into a body.
Yes. It's like, whoa. And they just sit alone, and then, of course, Darkwing and Launchpad come in, but there's an alert that sounds to let them know, I guess, that they're coming in, which I don't remember that happening ever before. But Darkwing is just fuming as soon as he gets into the house and straight up slams the door smack dab right into Goslin's face, like literally hits her in the face with the door. He's going on about how there's no time to lose, and they have to find Steelbeak, and, of course, Ding Dong.
Who's at the door?
Comedic. Who's at the door, indeed. And it's everyone's favorite bean counter / accountant / whatever his job is in Darkwing Duck, Fenton Crackshell. And he and Launchpad have a interesting secret handshake, song and dance. I don't really think there is a handshake involved, but there's a lot of dancing around each other and making noises and...
Launchpad!
Fenton? Wow!
Drake watches on furiously. Goslin looks absolutely amazed, and Honker seems delighted. That's the only way you can react to when two full-grown men start speaking in tongues and making a circle around each other. And Fenton immediately crosses every boundary and gives Drake a nickname, which is Drake-a-rooney. He does say it's no, in regard to their house. He's like, it's no McDuck Manor. Launchpad says Fenton and I used to work for the same guy. So I guess we're keeping some of the continuity of DuckTales here. It's not really ever discussed, and it seems like it's a no that Launchpad knows that Fenton is Gizmoduck.
I was just going to ask, I don't remember if he knew in the original series.
He doesn't.
He certainly didn't come off as if he did in this episode, but...
Yes.
I guess it's always possible that Launchpad is easily confused and maybe he forgot or something. I don't
know. He is comparable to cottage cheese in the show Bible, so Launchpad says
Fenton and I used to work for the same guy. That must have been fun.
It's just so salty from the jump in this one. It's fantastic. And Fenton wanders around the house and accidentally triggers the spinning chairs, and that's one of the scenes where it's like his hair ruffles and like the wind kicks up and he just kind of looks around real quick and he's like, is there a breeze in here? Look at all this animation going on. Look at you guys go. And of course, Launchpad pulls the old, well, why don't you stay here? Because Fenton gives, a basic, I have to be in town in business for the air show, but doesn't really explain why. So Launchpad invites him to stay, and naturally, Darkwing drags him into the kitchen to remind him of the premise of the show, that he has a secret identity and that he shouldn't invite random people. But doesn't matter. Fenton's already basically moved in. He's wearing Drake's bathrobe. He's sitting on the couch with the kids. He's watching the Nightmare on Pelican Island, and when they come back in and start talking, he goes,
Fenton, old pal,
Shh, this is the part where Pelican dices up the fat guy. And did I ever tell you how I hate being called little buddy? Hate it. Hate it. Hey, turn that down.
And then we hear, I'm pretty sure it's Rob Paulson going, have I ever told you how I hate being called little buddy? Hate it. And then you hear like a whack. It's like, hate it. Whack! Like, Jesus! And Goslin is covering her eyes. The kid who loves this stuff is so scared she's covering her eyes.
They had so much fun writing this episode, you could tell. I want to know who wrote that in because it was so funny.
It is. It was good. It's like, oh my gosh. I remembered that there was a Nightmare on Pelican's Island, but I did not remember it was this episode, which makes it even funnier. Drake is like,
is that my robe you're wearing?
Yeah, but don't worry, it's clean. Care for a caramel yummy lump?
Launchpad!
does that mean? I don't know.
I guess he was assuming that Drake
Fenton was wearing a dirty robe?
Yeah, he was worried that Fenton was stuck with a dirty robe instead of a clean one. So he's saying, don't worry, it is clean.
To have the confidence of Fenton Cragshaw walking into a stranger's house to just help yourself to anything and everything.
And then offer a caramel yummy lump to the people in the house who own the food.
Who bought the food? Also, a caramel yummy lump. I think I could go for a caramel yummy lump now.
I would like to try a caramel yummy lump.
Seems more palatable than a coconut burger if it is just, half a coconut and ground beef. But we'll work on a caramel yummy lump recipe, everybody. Thankfully, domestic bliss is interrupted by crime.
Isn't it always?
It sure is. Of course, there's a lot of unison things that happen in this next scene because it's, well, this looks like for a job for, what were you saying? And they're like, oh, no, you go ahead. And they're like talking at the same time because they're both heroes, guys. Oh my God.
This looks like a job for... What did you say? Nothing. Oh, good. Never mind.
So they both dash off to do hero work. But Fenton, as he's running out the door with his giant suitcase, he's like, if you order out for pizza, hold the anchovies, and smacks Drake in the face with the door as he's leaving. And when he closes it, Darkwing is behind the door, looking like he just got smacked in the face, which I thought was fun. Like, that's a fun transition because it was Drake Mallard and now it's Darkwing Duck. It's pretty great. And then as Fenton is running away, he says his code words. But this is something that I've noticed as well in the whole Giiiiiiizmoduck thing. It's that there doesn't seem to be a right answer as to what his code word is, because I have seen it as both blabbering, blatherskite, which I think is what is in the show Bible for Darkwing Duck, but he says blathering, blatherskite in this episode. And I don't remember, I haven't watched Super DuckTales in so long that I don't remember what the code word Gyro gives him originally is, but I think it's blathering.
I'm pretty sure it's blathering. That's how I've always known it.
Yeah, but it definitely was blabbering, blatherskite, in the show Bible for Darkwing Duck, because I noticed that.
Interesting.
So, yes. So Fenton is now no longer Fenton Cragshaw, he's now Giiiiiiizmoduck! And we have Steelbeak, big evil plan here put into motion. He has movie theater, an Eggman wearing a Darkwing cape and hat, holding a bomb and monologuing to the people outraged on the street. And this is where we get our I Am the Terror. But it's Steelbeak doing his Darkwing impression for a megaphone as the Eggman hams it up. He does a really good job. Eggman and Steelbeak. I think they could probably take over for Darkwing in a pinch if they needed to. Steelbeak's I Am the Terror.
I am the stink bug that smears your windshield. I am the cotton swab that gets stuck in your ear. I am Darkwing Duck.
But he's pretty good at this.
Very relatable.
Yeah, he put some effort into it. He thought one up, and it was pretty on par with what the original would say. So 5 out of 5 for Beak Puss. He did pretty good. We have Darkwing on an adjacent rooftop watching in horror, and of course, his priorities remain in check, that he's outraged.
This is terrible. Those imposters are ruining my image. I'd never wear a cape that wrinkled.
He's menacing a street full of people with a bomb, but the cape is wrinkled. So yeah, he swings in, saves the day, basically. Knocks the Eggman out immediately, and the bomb gets knocked over to Steelbeak, and Steelbeak knocks him out, and leaving him with the bomb. So he's caught red-handed by Giiiiiiizmoduck with the bomb, and Giiiiiiizmoduck's arrival is announced by the crowd screaming, "Yay! It's Giiiiiiizmoduck!" And he says, "I would have been here sooner, but I didn't have exact change for a toll booth." Oh, Giiiiiiizmoduck. He needs Easy Pass. So he goes up there and immediately starts sassing on Darkwing. And he says to him, which Darkwing immediately calls him on, which I was glad for, because he says,
Okay, but if you're not a crook, how come you're wearing a mask?
Hey, let's not get personal, helmet head.
It came with the outfit, but enough repartee. Give me that. No.
That's bold talk from a guy in a helmet. And that's basically what Darkwing says to him. And he just goes, it came with the outfit. So you can't wear a mask, apparently, in Giiiiiiizmoduck's world if you're a hero.
Hanging around too many Beagle boys.
See? That's what it is. And then it turns into a prolonged bit of Wabbit season, Duck season, trying to get rid of this bomb. Oh, no, you don't. I'll take care of it. Oh, no, I'll take care of it. Give it to me. Steelbeak is just watching them through binoculars. It's like, okay. And of course, they do dispose of the bomb, blows a hole in the roof of the theater where they kind of dangle down there. And Giiiiiiizmoduck is like,
Gee, never saw how this one ends. They shoot the dog in the last act. What? Did I spoil it for you?
That was one of my favorite lines of this episode. It kills me every single time.
it's like Giiiiiiizmoduck thinks that Darkwing killed the dog. It's like the way that he yells at him is so good. Oh, poor Giiiiiiizmoduck got Old Yeller ruined for him. They crash down to the ground because of course they do. And I liked the Giiiiiiizmoduck was trying to right himself, but he's like, and now for you, yoo-hoo, because he lost him. He didn't know where he went. And Darkwing's making his way out because he's got more important things to do than talk to Giiiiiiizmoduck.
There was a lot of alliteration from Giiiiiiizmoduck, too, if I recall correctly.
Yes, he has quite a way with words. He definitely is a wordsmith. Much more than I am currently, I suppose. I didn't write any of them down.
I had considered compiling a list of them because there was quite a few and they were pretty funny. Maybe I will make an audio compilation and put it into the episode.
Please do. I would love that.
First, the only gift you're getting is the Booby Prize. Defender of the downtrodden, guardian of the good, Giiiiiiizmoduck! So, until then, it's up to me to foil Fowl's offenses. Could I have crushed that mercurial malcontent? Freeze, you felonious fraud! Don't move a feather, you felon! Drat you, Darkwing Duck! Though I still think your crime-fighting style is disreputable, disturbed, and possibly deviant.
So, of course, now that everybody is like, oh, Giiiiiiizmoduck saved us from Darkwing Duck, who is going to blow up this movie theater. And there's like a parade for him, and it's on TV, and he just looks so pleased with himself. But in addition to looking so pleased with himself during the parade and getting the key to the city and all that stuff, Fenton is also sitting on the couch in the Mallard house looking super pleased with himself. He just looks so excited. He's like, wow, I'm great. Aren't I great? And that's where the aforementioned cheerleaders came in. Apparently there was a lot of very grateful cheerleaders.
You've made me feel so darn welcome. With all the parades, the awards, the cheerleaders. Especially the cheerleaders.
Especially the cheerleaders. Fenton Crackshell, you dog. I think Fenton calls Giiiiiiizmoduck a polished professional, and Drake has a minor aneurysm. But at the same time, it's like, as much as I love Giiiiiizmoduck, I wouldn't say that he's a polished anything. He kind of just bumbles his way through everything, which is a big part of the charm. But it's funny that Fenton thinks that he's very efficient at what he does. He does get the results, but he's also, did just have to drag himself out of a movie theater seating arrangement covered in chairs.
We got a really good Drake line here, too. Drake, in general, had some really funny lines in this episode, but did you write this one down?
You go for it.
I think it was right around this part where Drake's like,
If I want to watch a clown, I'll tune in a congressional hearing.
I missed that one. That's fantastic.
oh, it was fun.
Yeah, no, I didn't make note of that one because, from there, he starts raging about Giiiiiizmoduck, and it's like, if you take him out of the suit, what do you have? And Launchpad just goes, a naked guy with goosebumps? He's speaking the truth, of course. We have another interesting food item brought up in this scene, too, is because Fenton is eating pistachio prune ice cream.
I'd try it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a prune. So then Darkwing returns to the movie theater and finds a newspaper clipping about the air show or the egret. He goes, oh, English feather, and smells it. And he's like, oh, Steelbeak's cologne. I'm like, why do you know what Steelbeak's cologne smells like, Darkwing?
He smells all his villains. He's very thorough.
Are you even fighting crime if you don't get a good nose full? I mean, come on. So English feather, everyone. What do you think English feather smells like?
Probably a really pungent, expensive cologne that still manages to smell like every other cologne, no matter the price. All cologne smells bad.
I would say it probably smells like wood and a little bit of disappointment. So as Darkwing is up on the roof admiring the smell, remembering the olfactory connection he has with Steelbeak, Gizmoduck is just floating down the street. He's got his little helmet helicopter going, but he's just like buzzing the street as people cheer for him. Just not doing anything, just I guess patrolling, but mostly just existing to piss off Darkwing. They do go to where the egret is being held. Gizmoduck gets there first. And Darkwing shows up, and immediately they're just squabbling with each other. Like, Steelbeak is already there. He's hiding. He's just literally standing behind a box behind them, just like watching them like a tennis match as they're just squabbling with each other, like Grizzlycough.
He's brandishing a gun at the same time, too. Isn't it like a automatic semi-rifle? I don't even know. I don't know my guns.
Yes, he is armed, and he is just enjoying his handiwork. Really, it is just kind of a rehashing of Bad Tidings with Gizmoduck that draws a line on the ground, and he's like, don't cross this line, and Darkwing ballet dances over it. So it's just, they just are completely done with each other and going for each other's throat, and Darkwing attempts to murder Gizmoduck by pushing every single thing that is in this warehouse on top of his head. But Gizmoduck does not die, but he did attempt it. So I feel like if this wasn't Darkwing Duck, Gizmoduck would be dead right now. And he does seem very pleased with himself as he does that too. He's like dusting his hands off, real proud. And then we cut over to Steelbeak as he just kind of, well, they're fighting each other. I'm just going to super tiptoe past them as they're fighting. Just nobody's paying attention to him at all. It's just super sneaky. As we see the heroes again, made me laugh because they're just beating the crap out of each other. So that Gizmoduck's tire is flat, so he's just kind of like wobbling around as they circle each other, and Darkwing's hat is on fire. And his arm is in a sling. He's like, oh, have you had enough? And Darkwing's like, I'm just getting, and he starts trying to blow his hat out. It's really funny. I don't know. He's like, I'm just getting warmed up. And then, of course, Steelbeak is like, hi, guys. I've been here the whole time. Remember me? I'm now in this giant egret, and I'm going to kill you.
Hey, very nice. And I mean that. Let's give our celebrity dancers a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Not a lot of style, but hey, they gave it all they got, right? That's Steelbeak! He's stealing the egret!
Not a bad plan, I have to say.
Very effective. It certainly worked like a charm. So yeah, then they are like, oh my gosh, Steelbeak is in the egret, and Darkwing's like,
Well, welcome to the program.
Rude. He's true. That's right. I mean, whatever. And of course, we have bird-themed weaponry on this egret and the yolk bomb, and it just explodes yolk everywhere. Kind of gross.
Where did they get all that yolk? How many eggs would they need to use to make that much yolk?
How many eggs did they have to crack to make that omelet, I'll tell you. Yeah, so it just basically fills up the whole hangar that they're in. Yeah, and like, all right, well, I guess I'll just let you asphyxiate yourselves. Goodbye. I've won. But of course, as Gizmoduck whip out his helicopter blades and turns all of the yolk into meringue, which I don't really think you can do without sugar, but I'll allow it. And so they get out, and Gizmoduck is like, oh, I'm sorry, I doubted you. You really are a true hero, and hoses him down.
Where are you going?
After Steelbeak, where else?
I'll follow you.
Not on that flat tire, you won't. No, wait, you're too heavy. Oopsie.
So then Gizmoduck just leaps into the sidecar of the rat catcher, and he just tips the whole thing over because he's in a giant suit. I kind of wish that they had kept it and they were just in the sidecar with Darkwing, like, in the air driving it. It's really funny. Instead, they just put a spare tire on Gizmoduck that's huge. So he's just got this giant spare tire on him. And they rush after Steelbeak, and they catch up to him through some aerodynamic stunts. And they get to the egret, Darkwing, going to the cockpit to stop Beakpuss in his tracks. And Gizmoduck is supposed to take out the egret.
And they actually agree, too.
So they work very well here.
I'll take care of the plane. You take care of Steelbeak.
Exactly what I was thinking.
After most of this episode, it wraps up pretty quickly from here. But basically, Darkwing goes confronts Steelbeak. Steelbeak actually takes his gas gun and bites it in half. Like, oh, okay.
This time you bit off more than you can chew.
We'll see about that.
Ooh. Well,
Glad to see you're getting enough fiber.
So Darkwing is having his little struggle with Steelbeak in the cockpit, and Gizmoduck is having issues with gravity and every other thing, but he does manage to rip all the wires out of the egret, and the egret crashes to the ground, and as it hits the ground, the door pops open, and Steelbeak saunters out looking very proud of himself, and then just collapses. It's like, oh, good. He's been beaten. And then Gizmoduck is like, oh, Darkwing, you did it. And Darkwing wanders out, also looking very pleased with himself. And then he, too, also collapses. It's pretty good. I liked it. That was their grand saving the day, and we head back to Mallard residence, where it seems as if Drake has finally accepted that Gizmoduck is not so bad. Things deteriorate entirely back into petty squabbling when Benton talks about how great Gizmoduck is.
Say, looks like Gizmoduck saved the day again, don't it?
Gizmoduck. The way I hear it, Darkwing Duck cracked this case.
Ha! Darkwing Duck was lucky Gizmoduck let him come along for the ride.
No, what do you know?
More than you, Buster.
You do not.
You too.
You do not.
You too.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, you bet. You bet.
And then, as they're screaming at each other, Goslin, Hunker, and Launchpad just straight up leave the room. They're just like, they all just get up, walk out, and we pan out as we see Drake and Fenton's shadows wildly gesticulating as we pan away from the house.
Some say they're still arguing to this day.
To this day, you can still hear them. So yeah, so that was Tiff of the Titans.
It was a good episode. I have no complaints about it. Lots of funny lines, good animation. It's a continuity episode. I think in the episode guide I have on our website, I placed it as one of the watch earlier episodes simply because it is the first time that Gizmoduck and Darkwing meet, and I feel like their relationship changes after this because Gizmoduck is way friendlier in the later episodes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. At this one, he's on the fence about Darkwing. He thinks that he's a criminal, or at least not as on the up and up. But every other appearance after this, he's just like, hey, buddy, how's it going? Always very ready and willing to work with him until Darkwing is Darkwing and he gets annoyed. Yes, it's good. So out on the Quackerware Freshness Scale, I would rate it a 5 out of 5. How about you?
I was going to say either a 4.5 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5.
I think a 5 out of 5 was good for me because, Gizmoduck, and it didn't have Herb, otherwise it would be higher, naturally. It's a solid one. I mean, the animation's really good. I feel like the writing was really solid. It was funny. There was a lot of fun visual gags, and Steelbeak, I think, is a very good villain for a scenario like this because he basically just steps back and lets them destroy themselves and just swoops in and does his evil anyway. Other characters would have to be more involved. Like if this was a Megavolt episode, I feel like we wouldn't get as much of Darkwing and Gizmoduck clashing, which is where the fun is in this episode.
I think Steelbeak is the definition of work smarter, not harder. The SpOoOoky line, because he's a smart character for the most part, but he doesn't really like to get his hands dirty. Like, if there's a chance where he can get someone else to do it for him, or the characters themselves to do it for him, he sets up that scenario and basically saves himself the time and the energy of having to do it all himself.
Yeah, he'd rather manipulate people than break a sweat.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go, guys. Gizmoduck!
There's only Gizmoduck crossovers. I think it was 3 or 4 episodes of the series.
Yeah, there's this one. There's the Justice Ducks 1 and 2. I think that might be it.
No, there's the one with Megavolt and the horseshoes. Up and Awry, I want.
Oh, Up and Awry, and then he is in Darkwing Doubloon.
Yes.
So there we go. Well, those are the next few episodes we'll be watching. No. No. Oh, but we had discussed before, since we're heading into spooky season, did you want to break away from the wheel and watch scary episodes, quote unquote?
Yes. Or we could make a wheel at some point with a bunch of scary episodes on it.
Just take all of the Morgana episodes and The Haunting of Mr. Banana Brain.
That's the exact ones I had in mind.
All right, so we are going to be doing some spookiness. Let's take a spin out a wheel. Fungus Among Us.
Ooh, I like that
We
one.
get to see Morgana. Yeah. Cool beans. Alrighty. So next episode, we will be watching Fungus Among Us to kick off our October spooky times.
Yay.
Feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I like me some Halloween.
Yeah. And Morgana, as always, good. More Morgana. Morgana all the time. All right. So we will do that. We will catch you guys later with Fungus Among Us. Anything else for the peoples, Ange?
Not really. I'm just still spinning from the Nintendo Direct, in which we have discovered that, what do we have here? Jack Black as Bowser and Chris Pratt as Mario. Beautiful.
Mamma mia. Here we go again.
Can you imagine they announce a Darkwing Duck reboot and it's just like this? They just drop a bunch of voice actors and we're like, what's going on? What's happening?
Let's just wing it real quick. So we've got Darkwing Duck reboot. We've got Danny DeVito as Darkwing Duck. Goslin Mallard, played by Ariana Grande. We've got Launchpad McQuack, played by, what's his name? James Corden. Who else? They need a villain. So Negaduck will just be Danny DeVito in a wig.
Morgana can be Elvira.
Oh, yes, Cassandra Peterson, Bicon. And Hunker Muddlefoot will be...
What's his face? Detective Pikachu.
Just Pika. Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
I think you mean. But I would rather it be Pikachu. Herp Muddlefoot is Jason Momoa. Binky will be Amy Adams. And Tank will be Bingo the Wonder Dog.
That's
the cast. That's it. So here we go. Hollywood, you're welcome. I will be sure to watch the mail for my royalty check. We're living in a cursed timeline, but until next time, guys, remember that crime doesn't sleep, and neither do we. Bye-bye.
See you next time.